Good morning. Today we are reviewing the Unit 8, working with our data and how to read these graphs. So the first objective working with the data was PO60, and we need to know how to find the mean, median, and mode. So to find the mean, remember you add up all the numbers. Add all the numbers and divide by how many numbers. So if we added up 7 different numbers, we would divide that total by 7. That gives us the mean, which is also called the average. Who remembers what median is? Liam. Middle. So it's the middle of the numbers in order. So remember, our first step is to put all of our numbers in order. When we were doing Khan Academy, that was due last week, some of us are coming up saying, I don't understand why I didn't get this median right. But they didn't put the numbers in the correct order. So you have to remember, the first step is put the numbers in order, least to greatest. What does mode mean? Emma? Most. Which number do you see the most? Median. If you have 2, if it's an even number, what do we have to do? Emma? Add the 2 numbers together and divide by 2. So the median, there can be only 1. The mode can be none or multiple. There can be more than 1. The mean, you add them all up, divide, it's 1 answer. The median, you put them in order, you find the middle, it's 1 answer. The mode, how many are the most of? There might be ties, or there could be none. We don't put 0, because 0 is a data point in some of our data, so we can't write 0, but you can write none if there isn't a mode. If there's 3 5s and 3 7s, you can have 5 and 7 as your mode. So you can have more than 1. Any questions on mean, median, and mode? All right, let's look at 61. Bar graphs and line graphs. So you're going to want to write for 61 the bar graph. How many of something? So the bar graph we use when we want to know how many. You look at those bars, you can see which bar is the highest bar. It's easy to read. Okay, so the bar graph is how many of something. We've worked with bar graphs before, we've worked with line graphs before. Line graph is when we want to know the value of something. So remember on that last review that we just corrected today, the bar graph was quantity, how many. So you can even for bar graph write quantity. For the line graph, this was values, or the keyword that we had there were trends. Okay, seeing how often something is watched, that's the trend. So bar graph is the quantity, how many. Line graph is the trends, or the value of things. I'm not gonna spend too much time on those, because I think we know how to read those. We've worked with bar graphs and line graphs before. Does anybody want me to go any farther into them? Okay. Let's look at 62. This was a new type of graph for us. 62 is the stem and leaf. That is for putting data in order. And it also helps find the median and mode, right? Because everything is in order, so it's easy to see the middle. It's also easy to see the most, which number is represented the most. Okay, so stem and leaf plot puts things in order, and it helps us find the median and mode. What is the important thing we need to remember about the stem and leaf plot? Bennett?
Those are the numbers are actually large because they're actually like 15s and 20s.
Yeah, we need to remember to put the stem with the leaves for the real numbers. So these are all of our teens, these are all of our 20s, these are all of our 30s, these are all of our 40s, all of our 50s, all of our 60s. You have to put the stem with the leaf to read the number. So a lot of times when it comes time for the test, kids forget that. They just say, oh, what's the mode? I see the most zeros, okay? But that is not what the mode age is of people going to the coffee shop. It was people in their 60s, okay? So, or not in their 60s, but people that are 60. It is important that we remember to connect the stem with the leaf. Any questions on the stem and leaf plot? Star, put the stem with the leaf. Always the biggest mistake people make. Put the stem with the leaf. Now, why do you think I'm going over what we use each graph for? Why do you think I'm going over and over and over that? Why was it on all of our reviews? Adeline? You probably need to know it for the test. So when I'm giving you those hints, put this on your help sheet. It's for a reason. Put it on your help sheet. '63, the box and whisker plots. Box and whisker plots show the range and median of the data. How many parts are the box and whisker plot divided into? So you're going to want to put it in there. Divide into 4 equal parts. Remember, you can put this, no numbers, but you can write what a box and whisker plot looks like. So I would put on my help sheet that, and I would label my 5 parts. Minimum, maximum, median, the lower quartile, and the upper, it's gonna let me write, upper quartile. So remember, the range of it all is from the minimum to the maximum. So the range of data is minimum to maximum. we have that interquartile range is that upper quartile minus the lower quartile. Remember, all of your data that you get, you count up how many data points there are and divide it by what? 4. So if we have 12 data points, there's going to be how many in each section? If there were 12 data points. No, there's 4 sections, but there's 12 data points. Kylie? 3. You take how many there are altogether, divide it by 4, and you'd say, okay, 3 of them, the lowest 3 are going in here, the next 3 go here, the next 3 go here, and our top 3 go in the top part. Okay? 4 sections, divide up all, how many data points you have, count them up, divide it by 4, and then you put, make sure you have the same number of data points in each section. Then that'll help you answer your questions. Label your box and whisker, divide it into your 4 parts. So let's look at our next page and see if that we can use that information. So we've already done this. You're not going to write this on your help sheet, but I want to review how to read the box and whisker. What would our minimum number be? James. So this minimum comes right there. 3. What is our maximum? 21. What is our lower quartile? Kylie? 6. What is the median? Adeline? And what is our upper quartile? Liam? 16. So that interquartile range, we take the upper quartile and we subtract the lower quartile, and we get 10. The range of the whole thing, we take our maximum, we subtract our minimum, and we get 18. Here it says data was collected weekly for 1 year. Remember, weekly, there are 52 weeks in a year. So how do I find out how many fall into each section? How do I break that 52 into our 4 parts? Lila? 52 divided by 4, so I know that there were 13 in each section. That's 52 divided by 4 was 13. So when it says how many weeks did the shop have between 12 and 21 pets, between 12 and 21, that's 2 sections. I can add those up and I know that it is 26. So if you know how many total there were 52 weeks, we divide it by our 4 sections, and then we can answer our questions. So remember to take the total, you can even write that out, take the total and divide it by 4 to find your 4 equal parts. Do we have any questions on the box and whisker? This, I would say, is probably the hardest one. The stem and leaf, people make that simple mistake of not putting the stem in front of the leaf, but they can still read it if they remember to do that. Box and whisker is the hardest one because people forget to divide it into 4 equal parts. So I keep restating it because that's the biggest mistake people make. So on your help sheet, you can have a blank box and whisker, no numbers, but you can label the parts of it to help you remember those 5 points, the minimum, the maximum, the median, lower quartile, and upper quartile. That shows us our 4 parts, minimum, maximum, median, lower and upper quartile. If you draw those lines, you can easily see our 4 sections. Histograms. Histograms look like bar graphs, but there are differences. Remember, those histograms are touching each other because they are frequencies. So the histogram shows the frequency or how often something happens. So on the bottom, there's going to be that range of numbers. So histograms show the frequency or how often. They show the range of numbers, 0 to 50, 50 to 100, 100 to 150, 150 to 200. It's showing that range. Any questions on the histogram? Then we have our circle graph. Circle graphs show percentages. Full circle equals 100%. So that's all. That's the total amount. So that 100% equals your total amount. The whole. And remember, you need to remember our equation. Part equals percent times the whole. I would put that on our help sheet. Remember, that whole is the entire circle. If you added it all up together, percent, we know what percentages look like. The part is the number that goes, what is 30%? 30% of the whole was how many? All right, so when they ask questions, you need to decide, is it a part or a whole? You can find your percent by reading the circle graph. You put into your equation what you know. You do the math to find what you don't know. If they're asking for the part, if 100 students were surveyed, how many studied Italian? Well, 100 students surveyed would be my whole amount. So I'm looking for the part that studies Italian. We know Italian was that 10% times my whole of 100. I'm just going to straight up and do that math of multiplying it through. But down here it says 50 students, oh no, 3 students studied German. How many students studied French? Well, 3 students studied German. How many whole are there? How many students altogether? So we know that 3 students is our part. German is that 5%. We're looking for our whole, so that's when we divide by 0.05. So you do that opposite operation if you're looking for your whole number. You just multiply them together if you're looking for the part. So it's your job to determine, is 3 students our whole number or our part? Any questions on that? Is it making sense? Okay. So that is the objectives that we are being tested on, but remember, we always have the review questions. So if we look at the front of our binder, we can see Unit 8 Oh, it doesn't have them listed on mine. Does it have it listed on yours? No? Okay, so on our test, the practice test tomorrow, practice test will show us what we are going to be, what objectives are gonna be tested on. So your job after that practice test is to make sure you remember how to do all the questions for that practice test. And then put it on your help sheet, anything to help you with those review questions. Does anyone have any questions about our unit? We have 4 minutes of quiet class time. You can use this time to review, to make sure you have everything on your help sheet. Some of us need to finish up our Khan Academy from last week. Some of us owe me math packets from last week, or from that number 9 math packet. If you get 9 or 10 done, turn it into the blue tray. Work on packet number 11. If you are watching this at home, I hope you are well, and we'll see you soon. Have a wonderful day.